The Monopolist and Anti-Monopolist Game. Available for the first time in over 80 years. Towards the end of the 19th century, economist Henry George began developing an economic theory which would later be known as Georgism. Believing that land, i.e. natural resources, belonged to all people, George felt that land ownership created monopolies, and as an anti-monopolist tactic, a single tax should be issued in order to redistribute the profits from that land ownership to the people. George's economic theory would then go on to be popular with Quakers. One such Quaker was Lizzie McGee. Lizzie set out to develop a board game to educate people the dangers of monopolistic land ownership. The game, which she would call the landlord's game, would illustrate the dangers of land ownership falling into one person and forming a monopoly. In 1906, McGee and several other Georgists formed their own company to publish the game for the first time. Without major distribution, members of the Quaker community began making homemade versions of the game. As time went on, the people making these homemade games would customize them, naming the property squares after the area in which they lived. In 1921, Lizzie's original patent expired, so by 1923, she began designing a new version of the game for a new patent that would also further illustrate George's beliefs. The new version of the game included two sets of rules: the landlord's game, which illustrated the dangers of land monopolies, and prosperity, the anti-monopolistic rules in which George's economic theory was put into place. Patented in 1924, this game would go on to be published in 1932. It was around this time that an out-of-work salesman named Charles Darrow played a homemade version of the game with friends while visiting the Jersey Shore. Darrow, seeing an opportunity, began to self-publish the game and sell it at a Philadelphia department store. His game only included the monopolistic rules and not the anti-monopolistic rules Maggie had created. A year later, in 1935, it would be picked up by a major game manufacturer. The Monopolist and Anti-Monopolist Game, available for the first time in over 80 years. This limited edition includes changes to the gameplay made by Lizzie McGee that are not present in the best-selling game of today. These include railroads you can actually ride, roll the dice to land on stop and make wages based on your labor, the ability to put no trespassing sign on property you already own, investing in vacant land not seen on the board, and of course, the anti-monopolistic rules put into place once one player has already become too powerful. So secure your copy today of the game that everyone's already played in a way you've never played before, with the Monopolist and Anti-Monopolist Game available for the first time in over 80 years.